Being a woman in Singapore in itself it's a privilege, I would say, that many of us actually take for granted because we are so accustomed to having everything at our fingertips and we don't really realize what we have available.
What I imagine life for women in Singapore as compared to Ghana here or Africa is that the women are they don't stress much like we women in here. We stress. They are well educated, because before a child will grow up, education is their number one priority. My question to a woman in Singapore is, how do they manage their marital affair? How do they live with their men? Most of the men don't communicate with their women. They only communicate to them when they want to make love, and that's it. It's very difficult. You see an African man holding a hand with his woman. So if I could ask a woman in Singapore, I would ask her how they live with their men in terms of communication, decision making, and all that. So that I'll learn from this, because I want to also be in a marriage where I'll be happy and have a free life with my partner, able to communicate with him, decide together and all that, but not to sit idly like my African people without talking to themselves.
Two women, two completely different worlds. One calls being a woman in her country a privilege. The other watches from afar, admiring, questioning, wondering. My name is Kojo, and I've spent the past few years traveling, listening, and learning from people across cultures. On this channel, I try to bring you honest conversations from around the world, the kind that make you think and sometimes feel. In this video, I spoke with two women, one from Singapore, one from Ghana, to understand what life is really like for women in both places. What is it about life as a woman in Singapore that feels so different? Why do African women like her look at Singaporean women not with envy but with deep respect? Their answers were raw, honest, sometimes surprising, and in moments deeply emotional. Stay with me. You're about to hear what most people never ask and what many women have always wanted to say out loud.
I think I've covered this before, like about how safe it is in Singapore. I can go out on my own. I don't have to worry so much about safety or whether I'm gonna get mobbed or whatnot. Let's hope it stays at that, okay? In terms of living in Singapore in general, regardless of gender, it's, the convenience is there, the amenities is there. If I'm sick, I don't really need to worry too much because we have a strong medical institution supporting us. I can just go to, there are many clinics, for example, just under my block. I can just go down and see a doctor in a couple of minutes. So being a woman in Singapore in itself it's a privilege, I would say, that many of us actually take for granted because we are so accustomed to having everything at our fingertips and we don't really realize what we have available.
I've heard of Singapore, and then what comes to my mind is that I would love to be in this country, at least even to visit this place one day. And then I've also seen images about Singapore, how beautiful the place is. Then I always feel like I would love to be in this place. Myself, I would love to be in this place, at least just to experience the living, the environment and all, and their food perhaps. Also, if I have the chance to live and work in Singapore, I wouldn't mind. Okay, so my imagination in Singapore, I've always imagined is that I heard women in Singapore, they are more comfortable. They live a very freedom life than the Africans. I'm pretty sure that they have they have given right to both women and men. So these women and the men, they have equal right to everything, unlike Africa, because in Africa, men always try to bully women because they feel they are superior. But in Singapore, I feel it's not like that. Everybody have equal right to something. Be it they contribute to support themselves, they come together in terms of decision making. But in Africa, it's not just like that, because in Africa, women are being shut in part of making decision with men because they feel like a woman has no right to take part in decision making. You don't need to even talk. You should allow the men to talk. Even if a woman have solution to a problem, she can't open her mouth. But in Singapore, I believe women are allowed to express their feelings and then also contribute to decision making in a family or in a society. Like, they don't neglect women. They feel women and men, they are both equal being, and then are able to also contribute to decision making. So with this, I feel Singapore is a better place, and I would love, or I wouldn't mind, to be in that place to also experience their living, at least maybe learn something from them, come back to my country and then implement it as well. If I could ask a woman living in Singapore, my question to a woman in Singapore is, how do they manage their marital affair?
How do they manage their marital affairs?
Yes. How do they live with their men so things go smoothly with them? If I could ask a question, this is a question. And I'm more concerned in this because, I could see that they live with their men peacefully. Even though they can't be in a relationship without violence, they should be violent. But how are they able to cope together without outsiders hearing them out? Okay, so in Africa, most of the men don't communicate with their women in marriage. They only communicate to them when they want to make love, and that's it. When they are together, their focus are on their mobile phones devices. As to what they are doing, I don't know. I have seen it several times, and it is still happening. And, I have a very close friend of mine who is currently in such a marriage that there's no communication between she and the husband. When he goes out and come, when they're sitting together like you and I are sitting right now, they are just seated. There's no conversation, nothing. But if the man wants to have his way, then that's it. There's nothing like conversation. So with this, I see that it doesn't encourage love. There's no love. It's like marriage in Africa is just for fun, but not love. So if I could ask a woman in Singapore, I would ask her how they live with their men in terms of communication, decision making, and all that, so that I'll learn from this, because I want to also be in a marriage where I'll be happy and have a free life with my partner, able to communicate with him, decide together and all that, but not to sit idly like my African people without talking to themselves. Sometimes when I see their videos, like maybe now internet has made it easier for us to see things. You see a woman walking with her husband, holding hands, freely. But here it's not common. It's very difficult. You see an African man holding hand with his woman, especially in the northern part. It comes to be like you are disrespectful, or the man is feeling shy. Even when the woman is trying to hold hand with the man, he's trying to ignore her because he has so many side chicks that he feels shy for the side chicks to see him walking with his wife. They're not proud of their woman.
Really?
This is it.
Do you think it's like a cultural thing?
Well, this thing, I wouldn't say it's a cultural thing. It is they that learn that. I don't know where they adopt it from. I wouldn't say it is a cultural thing.
Okay.
Yes, but I could see the women in Singapore. If you are not comfortable with your man, you can't walk holding hands. So it means that they are comfortable. Even when they are fighting in the room and they come out, they pretend like they are not fighting. They will hold hands, go to the mall. You see the man carrying the shopping bag for the woman to like they live very freely, and I think this is love. I feel love in this, and I would also love to experience that love. Even if I'm marrying an African, I will need to experience that love. So if the woman could tell what to do, maybe they have a way they channel they are meant to to live in this happy life with them. So I also learn from them and also imply it to myself, so that I'll live with my husband in that manner. In the society I grew up from, they did not believe in female education. They did not see female education to be very important. All they believed is, as a female, you need to grow up and go into marriage. So that was what my parents was looking at. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, at the age of when I was 15 years, my uncle decided to give my hand out in marriage. Yes, my uncle decided to do that.
And when you were just 15 years old?
Yes, when I was just 15, my uncle decided to give me out to marry. But luckily on my part, my mom did not support it. Men are always the superior, and whatever they say is what stands. Though my mom tried her best to prevent me from those side. And then I think she did try to decline that part of early marriage for me. But my education part, since she decided to take me upon herself and do not go their way, they also decided not to look after my education.
Did you know the person that your uncle wanted to give you to?
I did not know the person. I didn't know the person. He just took a decision upon himself. I'm giving you out for marriage, and he was serious on that.
And you were just 15 years old?
I was just 15 years.
And that would mean you were in secondary school by then?
No, 15 years I was in DHS.
Junior high school?
Junior high school.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
And you hadn't completed yet. He wanted to
give my
so that you would stop the school.
They don't care. Like, they see that females are meant for marriage but not to go to school.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Wow,
but by then he already gave her his own daughter out for marriage. So he wanted to also gift his sister's own daughter for marriage.
And if I may ask, how old was his daughter when he gave her out for marriage?
Daughter, by then, she should have been the same age with me.
Oh.
Yes, should have been the same age.
So at the age of somewhere 15, she also got married?
She was already married. So, like, she never had a chance to go to school.
Oh.
Yeah, she had a chance to go to school.
So where is she today? Is she still married to that person?
Oh, well, the man she got married to, as whether they're still together, I can't tell. But I only know her to have like 4 kids.
And 4 kids?
Yeah, she had 4 kids.
So when did she have her first kid?
She had her first kid very early, but I can't recall.
Oh.
Yes, I can't recall.
I understand that.
Yes.
Well, I would say that whatever skills that you have, let's say if you are skilled in hairdressing or sewing or farming or what, kind of make use of that and try to find ways of monetizing it so that you do have some income for yourself and, hopefully it will lead you to give you a better life. And also don't feel pressured to have kids. I'm not coming from like a place of like bad intentions, but I honestly think that we have to, even for me, like I would want to be mindful about having kids, because if I can't even like take care of myself, how can I afford to take care of someone that needs to be completely dependent on me? So yes, I hope that, you know, everybody kind of understands that it comes like from lovely, not with any malice or like bad intentions. Like, I love kids. I genuinely love kids, and I want only the best for them. So if anybody feels like they can't take care of kids, then I honestly I'm telling you to just wait it out, you know, until something happens for the best in life and you feel like you're in a better position to take care of yourself plus somebody else, then go for it. But if you are struggling already as it is, don't have kids. Not yet, at least.
Well, it's very common, especially our religious and traditional base in the northern part. They believe that if you do not marry your girl child out very early, and then the child goes wayward, you have a punishment on that from God. But it is the religion that encourages it more. They said it is believed that if you do not marry your girl child out early, and then she goes out to have anything to do with a man, you have punishment on that from God. In Judgment Day, you account for it. So the earlier you marry her out and be saved, the better. So as a result of that, marrying girls child out is very common here. And the other reason is that they believe women or girls are meant for the kitchen. They are meant for marriage, nothing else.
Not really. As a woman, I just kind of like, I think for all time it's more of like, whether would I be able to survive there? After hearing stories of the, you know, many blackouts and then the lack of convenience and stuff that I kind of grown so accustomed to living in Singapore. I think a life as a woman in Ghana would technically be different because the lifestyle there is much different. Like, and probably there'll be a lot more fighting in that sense, like, you know, for as a woman, like to achieve certain things there. From my very limited knowledge of Ghana, I would say that if you have the money over there and you can, you know, get good education, and actually your parents would be able to send you overseas and, you know, give you the opportunities that are lacking in the continent, in the country, then you're very blessed. But if you are, you know, living in slums, for example, or in less than ideal places in Ghana, it's gonna be a bit more difficult, especially as a, you know, whether you're a man or a woman. Probably more so when you're a woman, because you know, we all know that women kind of have higher chances of getting a lot of health issues, and without the proper medical services and facilities, I think life the lifespan of a woman would generally be a lot shorter. But again, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't really have a lot of knowledge in life in Ghana. Not yet. Hopefully, I would travel there one day and see how it is there, and I will probably make a better statement about it. Yes. Like I said again, traditional, like Asian, I live in an Asian family, so we're very much traditional in that sense where, my parents kind of want their kids to get married, especially the females, the girls, so that they know they're taken care of and everything. But in terms of pressure by the society, I honestly don't think so. Of course you have like advances where your relatives and people around you will be like the older people around you will ask you, when are you getting married? Girl, you're already so old already. Like, that kind of things. This is a very debatable question. Having worked in many different companies, and honestly, you don't really see many women holding power, positions of power or top positions. So not many people actually think about it, but I do see it, and sometimes it does get to me. I'm like, why is it always when it's up for promotion, it's always a male? People would say it depends on the industry, but if you have female working in that same industry and they're not given the equal opportunities as men, they are definitely not going to be able to go for promotion and all that career advancement. But I don't think that's a Singapore issue per se. I would say that that's more of a global issue, because I've heard so many cases of people from other parts like the States and UK where it's pretty much the same. Women do not hold many leadership powers. Even if you take, for example, our political leaders. Yes, Singapore wants everybody to be educated, and I think that's a very powerful stance that the government has made. And I believe that that those building blocks actually do help us grow as a nation and prosper to what it is right now. Because had it not been for that, if you pull back a certain gender just because of what tradition says, no nation would actually progress, because you kind of need both ends to work. Women are definitely good for something, and women are good for other things as well. So when one is lacking, how can a nation actually prosper?